Level up your LA Kings experience with the new Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access. Enjoy great seats to the game along with premier dining inside the Lexus Club with all-you-can-eat food and non-alcoholic beverages. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings item and parking with your purchase. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn rewards on each purchase from the only ticket company that rewards you for buying. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings.
You're listening to an LA Kings podcast. For more episodes of this and every other Kings program, visit lakings.com/podcast.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings. Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
All right, joining me today to talk about the new relationship between the LA Kings and Iron Bow. Is it Iron Bow Solutions?
Iron Bow Technology Solutions.
Iron Bow Technology Solutions. Apologize for that.
Iron Bow Technologies, I'm sorry, but Solutions is something that we do.
Russell Silvers from AEG. How are you doing today, Russell?
Doing well, thank you.
And Renee Levine. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did.
Now,
Perfect.
as a hockey fan, that sounds like the kind of name that I might expect, you know, from a QMJHL prospect. Renee, were you a hockey fan growing up?
I was a hockey fan. I wasn't any good at it, and I didn't put on ice skates until I was later in life, but definitely a hockey fan.
All right, so before we dive into how the relationship between the two companies started, can you explain to me, like I'm a 5-year-old, what Iron Bow Technology Solutions is?
Absolutely. And it's not all that complicated, but we're a next generation technology solutions provider. The business in its current form has been around for 20 years. We principally have focused on the federal government marketplace, so the DoD, intel agencies, and constituent services. We also have a healthcare market, a commercial market, and a state and local market. We've done very little in the sports and entertainment business. Our focus is on infrastructure technologies like the network. So you would take, for example, for granted, your wireless infrastructure. We put those types of things in. AEG in particular has a robust profile with the global population, doing 100 million transactions with guests annually. And so they're highly reliant on the IT infrastructure. So things like networks and data centers, collaboration suites, cybersecurity are all very important to the client. And that's what we have centered our business around.
I am going to, in the interest of looking smarter than I am, pretend like I understood any of that.
Well, you know when your Wi-Fi doesn't light
I
up.
do. And
Yes,
the first thing
that
I wanted to know was, are you guys responsible for sending me the fake phishing emails that our IT department sends to test them or actually doing our cybersecurity workshops?
Absolutely not, but it is a good thing that they're doing that.
They do it, and I fell for one of them, so that's on me.
There you go.
All right, so Russell, you work for AEG. How do business arrangements like this one begin? Like, do you wait for someone to approach you? Are you canvassing the business world looking for potential matches? How does this become the seed of an idea?
Yeah, so great question. We look at our business verticals and we want to identify partners that will enhance our business productivity. They will enhance our fan experiences and so on and so forth. So depends on what the need is. We will work in the market and try to find a partner that will be best suited for a specific need. So with regard to Renee, we have a long-standing friendship, and there was a need from the LA Kings and from AEG holistically to have an IT solutions provider come in and for all intents and purposes, make us better, make us more efficient, and make us safer from a cybersecurity standpoint. So when we sat down and first started ideating an idea, we kind of throw a bunch of ideas off of the wall, and we figure out from there what can stick and what opportunities may present himself. And from there, we ideated on a great opportunity in which Renee and the Iron Bow Technologies team became the away jersey patch partner. But it came with them providing us with IT solutions that are going to make us a better company, not only now, but in the future to come as well.
So then which came first? Was it, ads are now allowed on jerseys, and so it's an opportunity for the company to generate revenue. So let's look for jersey partners. And, oh, hey, by the way, this company also provides the service that we need? Or was it, we know that we need this service that the company provides, and, oh, hey, by the way, we now have an extra opportunity?
It's a perfect storm. Actually, it was more the latter. It was, we needed this no matter what. We needed to continue to enhance our services internally from an AEG, from the holistic approach, but also from the LA Kings. And then from there, we identified key partners that will make us better. So we do that across our entire vertical. So look at IT solutions, from a fan experiential, across all of our platforms, we look and identify partners that will best suit us and create impact for our fans and for our business. So in talking with Renee, yes, we had the opportunity to put a patch on the away jersey. But with that, we also had an opportunity to amplify Iron Bow and create a unique business plan where they could amplify their brand with us. We could integrate their technology, and we could tell that story with LA Kings on the jersey. So it was really a great intersection of a marketing opportunity and a business opportunity coming together at the perfect time.
You've both mentioned fan experience. So Renee, I want to start with you. When Mercury came on as the jersey sponsor for the home jerseys, they had, I don't even know how to describe it, but there were games that you could play in the building on your phone. There were, ways for opportunities that Mercury sort of inspired. I don't know if they actually created them, but now there are extra ways to engage with the Kings through Mercury. Mercury is a business concept that I think most people understand, particularly in Southern California. You have to have driver's insurance. Even if you don't know how the insurance industry works, it's a pretty simple one-for-one translation, right? Okay, here's a map of all the freeways. Find Bailey. He's hiding in the map. Go on your phone and do it. In what way can Iron Bow either improve fan experience or create new fan experiences?
Yeah, it's a really good question, and if you don't mind, I'd like to augment what Russ just stated.
Absolutely,
because it's a great story. It really is. So here you have two guys with similar backgrounds giving back to the community. So Russ and I both serve on our high school alma mater board of trustees, and I'm actually 19 years Russ's senior. So we're 2 decades apart, essentially, having graduated from this fantastic school, which is just a few minutes away from AG headquarters, by the way, and crypto.com. So we both attended Loyola College Prep Jesuit High School, and this was our form of giving back by sitting on the board. Now, I could have done this any time over the last 40 years, probably. But I've been gone from Los Angeles for 35 years, so there were challenges and obstacles to being able to serve properly. And Russ could have been here any other time, quite frankly, given his success. So we both came together at this perfect time, and where our company, I'm the CEO of the company and founder, one of the founders, and AEG was ready for something like this. And while we have supported other sports activities, particularly in the DMV and in Washington, D.C., never have we had an opportunity for a mutually beneficial partnership. And that's what Russ brought to the table. And so you had two guys who developed a friendship and a business relationship, and then we started sharing more and then figured out that this was something that we could do. Right. And so it's a great story, me being from South Central LA, Russ being from Culver City, and the intersection of two guys that grew up with modest beginnings, so to speak, could make this happen. So I'm tremendously proud of that, and that this is something that we're doing for our hometown in Los Angeles. So it's a great thing. In terms of how can we enhance the fan experience, and I mean that's kind of what this is all about, right? And we look at AEG globally and how we can advance the customer experience holistically, meaning everything that they do. Effectively, this is the largest sports and entertainment business globally, which is a big thing, right? It's a huge thing. And so while AEG needed this before, as Russ mentioned, they did not have a trusted advisor engaged in their infrastructure for IT. Now they do. And I will tell you that our team is engaged with them likely every day, but it's safe to say every other day on a host of initiatives. We're working with them on various applications that will improve the customer experience. And there's nothing that I can pinpoint right now to say, we're going to be doing this. The relationship is very fresh. We're just completing our third month, essentially. And so there's been a lot of developmental efforts going into this. But suffice it to say that technology behind everything that you see today will play a significant role. We spent a day with Luc Robitaille and the leadership over at the Toyota Sports Center about a month and a half ago. And they've got a fantastic state-of-the-art facility to train the athletes. But one of the things that we saw that we can help them with is their data science and artificial intelligence in terms of improving the composition of data with the athletes, as well as their competitiveness in the league, right? So that's one example. The fan won't necessarily see that except for the performance on the ice, but that's one of the things that Luke and the Kings will be leaning on us to support.
You just said the magic words in 2024, which is AI, or I guess those are letters. But Russell, I know I've had a couple of conversations. You know, my background is just being a fan that loves the game, so I don't necessarily understand a lot of the principles we're talking about. But I've had conversations with our business analytics team and with our game prep team, and you know, maybe if you would have asked me 5 years ago what the most impressive piece of technology we had is, I would have said like the arena bodegas that are no cashier, right? You just walk in, you grab a beer, you walk out, and it charges the phone in your pocket. But
Right.
Now that I know how integrated everything is with AXS and looking at what kind of tickets everybody buys and trying to then work that into, you know, just every aspect of everything. Is this something that you had a background in, or is this something that you're, you know, having to get up to speed on, same as everybody else?
I am on this wave like everyone else, and
Right.
I hope I'm not falling off anytime soon. I mean, this is something that we're all learning, and it's really exciting because we talked about data, we talked about technology. I've been with AEG. I'm starting my 23rd year with the company, so there's technology's evolved so much over the last two and a half decades, but we're now seeing such an appetite for the consumer and for the fan coming into the building to have that customized experience, whether it be the food and beverage offering, or whether it be from the tickets from what you get through access, or from the technology in the building, really the venue speaking to the consumers to where to go, what lines are less crowded than others, where the restrooms are, the wayfinding signs, all these things that now are part of the experience for a consumer. That's all back-end technology that is being fed by that is being amplified and helped by Ironbow. So we're only going to go deeper into the technology world to make it even more customized for every fan. I'm excited to see where it's going to go, because if you asked me 2.5 decades ago if we would be here at this point now, I would have never thought we'd be this immersed. I didn't think that the consumer would digest technology the way they have in this short amount of time. So it's great to see. And I'm only, and to your point, you brought up the Just Walk Out kiosks that we have, where you can just go in, you get the facial recognition, you kind of come in, come out. You think about that's only been over the last few years, and that's pretty innovative. So to think what the next 5 years has in store is even that much more exciting. So the digesting of technology is something that will only become more enhanced from the fan experiential standpoint. I'm looking forward to that.
Renee, I apologize if I'm naming a competitor here, but I think anybody who's plugged into sports in Southern California this summer has not been able to escape talk of the Intuit Dome and all of the innovations that they've poured into a building that I don't think anyone will go to because I don't think the team's going to be any good. No offense to our Clippers fans out there. But I mean, how much of what they're doing at that building is, inspiring what we're doing, or maybe even challenging what we're doing?
Well, it's a great question. I think it's a great question. And by the way, my daughter-in-law to be is an employee of that organization.
Sorry.
So
first of all, congrats on the impending nutfuls, and pass along my apologies for throwing shade on the Clippers.
No. It's a great question. And my son and she sent me some pictures. So I haven't been in there yet, but I have seen some of the things that Ballmer's done. And I don't look at it as competition in any regard. There's trendsetters. Steve Ballmer comes from a tech background, and he has some billions to pour into this effort, right? So he's looked at this, and he's been an owner for some period of time now, thankfully for the Clippers and the Clippers fans. And he wanted to create something that was a unique experience. And so when you walk into that arena, for example, most arenas have scoreboards hanging in the middle. They're boxes, right? There's no scoreboard hanging from the middle of that arena. It is a 360-degree scoreboard consumption model for the fan anywhere you're sitting in that arena, right? There's specific elements of fan experience with apps that they have deployed so that there's easy engagement for ordering and those types of things. Something that we're working on with Russ, Luke, and the Kings with respect to wait time. Russ mentioned, where's the shortest lines in the restroom? Where's the shortest lines for food and beverage? What do I want to order from the seat? How long is it going to take to get here? All those kinds of things. In today's world, our constituents are so spoiled. They want everything. They don't want to pay for anything, but they want everything, right? So they want the optimal experience without any headaches. And the more that you can, provide them and influence them, the more that they're going to lean forward in that regard. So I would just say that Intuit Dome is the next trendsetter scenario. $2 billion to build it, by the way, which is a lot. I mean, it's $2 billion to build SoFi, right? So for basketball and associated events, it's certainly a lot. And fortunately, Ballmer has that at his disposal.
Russ, one thing I've discovered in my time in this role is that frequently doing something wrong can be worse than not doing anything at all.
Right.
So when you're seeking partners in an industry that maybe is not right, we didn't grow up with AI.
Right.
Most of us listening to this maybe have grown up with the internet, but I didn't grow up with the internet. Right. Renee probably didn't. Russ, if you're 20 years Renee's junior, then you probably did. So when you're having to forge these partnerships and make these alliances, how do you have to consult with experts? Do you trust your relationship with Renee on a personal level? Like, how do you make sure that you're partnering with the right organization?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and we do fall back on our relationships. We partner with obviously brands that are going to be exposed throughout the seasons, and they're going to have a great deal of amplification on broadcasts and whatnot, Ironbow being one of them. So we do our due diligence, absolutely. For this deal, we did have a number of internal stakeholders interview, I guess for lack of a better word, right, Renee? They
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Ironbow, and we really focused on interests and needs of ours from a business standpoint and how Ironbow can help us. And then we did a lot of due diligence on the back end with Renee and his team to not only figure out what we need and how they can help us, but then how we can storytell. So yes, you ask a great question in that there's a lot of exposure when you have partners, especially that are going to be on the jersey, they're going to be on the helmet, on the ice. So we make sure that we vet them through thoroughly internally before going out there. And then, as I said, we're in a relationship business, and you want to make sure that you're investing in the team and the people in which you're going to have a long-standing partnership and friendship with. So in this regard, it was very easy because Renee and I have a personal friendship. But had we not, that would have been something that I'd have had to forge as well in putting this partnership together.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Renee.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Russ is spot on. Relationship ignited the opportunity, but it didn't close the opportunity. And when Russ knew something before I knew something, right? So he had done a bunch of diligence, he and his team, and he'd already scrubbed me pretty clean from an ownership perspective and a business perspective, because he knew that there was an opportunity before I knew there was an opportunity. And once we both saw that there was an opportunity, we brought the collective teams together. And yeah, I mean, for lack of a better word, they did a lot of interviewing. And on my side, I brought critical leadership to the table, to the video, whatever case was going to be, critical leadership. And I actually took a couple steps back because it couldn't be about Renee and Russ's relationship. This had to be about, was this the right thing for the Kings and AEG overall? And was it the right thing for Ironbow with respect to that, right? So I took a step back. I turned the keys over to my chief marketing officer, to my chief strategy officer, and then they expanded the umbrella and brought the best of our technical acumen to the table. And Russ and his team, they did their job. I'm telling you, they did their diligence. And, you know, whenever you're like partnering with someone, they're going to be on your brand. I mean, you got to really double check that, right? And they did. So fortunately for us, integrity is high in our value system. It's always been that way. Culture is high. It's number one. And that's how we've operated. I've been in business for 4 decades. And I always tell folks, you get one reputation. Either it's good or it's bad. There's no in between. And once it's bad, you can't get it back. It's really difficult to get it back. So we approach this anything with humility and with the focus on we're going to do the right thing. And this relationship costs us money at the end of the day. We're going to do the right thing, right? Now, I see a mutually beneficial scenario here where we're both going to benefit, and it's fantastic. But I just wanted to add that because, Russ and the team, they did their work for sure.
So we've had a number of conversations around the office for whatever reason over the last, let's just say 6 months, where different projects or entities needed names. And I have reached a point in my life where I kind of don't care what the names of things are. My attitude is the Vegas Golden Knights is a dumb name. The Columbus Blue Jackets is a dumb name. But once it's been around long enough, that's just the name. Like, you don't really think about it. Like, you just name something and move on, because ultimately, as you said about the reputation, you get one reputation, and it doesn't matter how silly your name is. If you have a good reputation, the name will carry a good reputation. But having said all that, why Ironbow? What's the origin of that name?
Oh, I didn't know you were going there. Yeah. That's a good question. So without getting too much into the weeds, This business was incubated in another business I was running, started 20 years ago.
Okay.
After I had a 10-year successful run with another company, selling it a couple of times and then transitioning out. So in 2010 or leading into 2010, this business was moving in a direction that it needed to have its own platform, as did the parent of this business. And we had private equity invested in us. We spun out the business, and prior to that, we needed a name. So like most organizations, we were influenced by the marketers, and the marketers said, oh, we got to go through this and go through that. So we spent a bunch of money, and we came up with Nada. And so then we pushed it out to the employee base, and the employee base came up with a bunch of stuff. Well, then yours truly pulled iron out of one thing and bow out of another and put it together. And then technologies. And then we actually built a tagline that is not being used right now, but strong, flexible, and targeted around it. And away we went. And the market was very receptive to it. And like you said, a name's a name. In our market, there's a lot of alphabet soup, or there had been. We didn't want anything like that. We'll
like
never
AEG?
call ourselves. Yeah. Well, it actually stands for somebody very important.
For sure.
But we'll never call ourselves IBT, right? It's Ironbow or Ironbow Technologies. And so that's how it came about 14 years ago or 15.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the tagline, and it makes perfect sense in that context. As it turns out, I think it's a fantastic name. It's two words that everybody knows, and they sound great together. Russell, looking at the jersey, when Mercury signed on to be the other jersey sponsor, their logo, at least the one that I'm familiar with, is yellow, red, and black, which are not Kings colors. So once this agreement is signed, who do you then pass the ball to say, let's find a way to make this look good on a Kings jersey? Because as it turns out, I think there's only blue in the Ironbow logo other than black and white.
Oh, you haven't seen the logo. Oh, you're going to love it.
I've seen it
fantastic.
on the ice. I've seen the patch.
Well, Russ is going to share that.
All right.
So we it's funny because that was obviously a conversation that I had with Renee's CMO. She and I said, well, you know, the colors are black and white, so we have to figure out how to make it, you know, with those colors. But then on top of that, want to make sure that we expand the logo as well, so it's as visible as it possibly can be on the jersey. So she and I ended up, you know, very kind of quickly making it a point to have impact and have be visible, right? Those are the two things we wanted to make sure that that we're on the jersey. So they've been extremely gracious in making sure that they are flexible, or they were flexible in putting the jersey on. The logo on the jersey. So even though the colors were a little bit different, Renee and Sarah, his chief marketing officer, they were very quick to follow suit with what the Kings colors were and expand the logo enough so it became very visible and prominent on the jersey, and away we went. And, you know, I will tell you, it was a really exciting time to see that first game when the logo was on the jersey. It got some great exposure, and we knew that we kind of hit the nail on the head and how we did it. So it was really exciting, and away we went.
Yeah, and it looks like it was made for the jersey.
Yep.
I mean, if I look at it, I would say it's made for the jersey. And for us, we're 1,100 people. Jesse, we're $1.5 billion in revenues. We're a meaningful company in our space, but we're not like a $50 billion company with such rigidity that wouldn't allow for the flexibility, right? So we use our logo in a variety of different ways. When it should be modified on apparel, for example, we modify it, and we don't think twice about it, for example. So I would say that the Ironbow logo brand on the patch, on the jersey, it's like it was made for it. Like it, and it should never leave it, by the way.
I'll let Kelly Cheeseman know.
You said it, Renee.
Yeah.
We have it recorded.
I'm not sure the way to ask this next question to have it sound like curiosity, because that's all it is. It might, but I'll just give it a shot. If I'm watching the Florida Panthers and I see they have a LaCroix, however you pronounce it, as their jersey sponsor, I can go to the fridge and grab a can of LaCroix. If I'm watching the Toronto Maple Leafs and they've got milk on their jerseys and Oreos on their helmet, oh, now I want milk and Oreos. I can go to the store and buy some milk and Oreos. I don't feel like I can go buy an Iron Bow account, right? Like, you guys deal with the DoD and AEG. Like, these are large organizations that have infrastructure needs and budgets that the average fan sitting in Section 320 like can't even begin to conceive of engaging with. So who are you marketing to, I guess, is the real question there.
So it's a question for Russ first, I think, because they made the selection, and then I'll give you my side of the equation.
Yeah, I mean, you think that there's millions of people that watch our games annually. We have we have an amazing walk of life of fans that tune in to watch our games, from the fan that lives here and across the country. And we, in doing this partnership, there's so much of what is going to make this successful is the B2B aspect of it. And we are going to storytell.
Sorry, I'm going to jump in, and I'm assuming B2B means business to business.
Business to business,
okay.
Yes. So the business to business development that we are going to storytell with Iron Bow is such that we are going to take what we're building with them to market, and we're going to be sales agents on behalf of Iron Bow. So when we're out in the marketplace, when we're telling the story to the sports and entertainment industry, we are going to take Iron Bow, and Iron Bow is going to take AEG and the LA Kings lockstep with them in the messaging and how they are making us and we are making them a better organization. We are amplifying their brand from a marketing perspective. They are making us a better technology solutions organization. We're going to be more efficient because of it. So, and there's a lot of teams, right? There's a lot of sports teams in the U.S. In North America that need IT solutions services. So to have a company like AEG be able to kind of shout from the mountaintops that Iron Bow is doing some great work with us and for us, other teams and other organizations are going to follow suit, and that's just what the business is. And we're going to storytell, and we're going to, and the success from our end is going to be if we can help Iron Bow acquire more business because of the relationship that they have with us, plain and simple. So, so to answer the question, yes, you're not going to be able to go on the shelf and go buy an Iron Bow technology subscription. That's not what this is meant to be. This was ideated and incubated on a conversation that we had, that we're going to try to disrupt the industry and have a storytelling opportunity with Renee and the Iron Bow team to help them become a driving force in this industry and be a great IT solution provider for not just AEG, for a lot of our competitors too. And I cannot wait to see them in lights with other teams and other venues, because I know that we'll all have started because of AEG and Iron Bow.
Yes, it's a great answer, Russ. Fantastic. Because so often, and this is how the world has been, is that it's driven by an organization that is looking to put themselves so people will just buy more, right? As you talked about Oreo or the Mercury situation. I want to be the first name you think about for insurance, et cetera. When we saw the opportunity, I mentioned earlier that we're a very robust federal government platform, and to a great extent, healthcare. We've penetrated. We're known nationally, internationally for our healthcare efforts. We are pursuing very rigorously the state and local market and expanding our commercial market. This opportunity gives us exposure in nearly 30 markets that we typically wouldn't have exposure in, other than let's say the few resources that I might have in that specific market. Now there's a connection with that constituency and Iron Bow and the LA Kings that's visible to those folks. So my state and local organization and my commercial enterprise organization are ecstatic about this level of exposure. What Russ just said, we've never had the opportunity to expand our efforts. And I'll tell you that going on 25 years now, it's been kind of a one-way street for us, whereby, and this is pre-Iron Bow Technologies, where we were marketing or advertising with either a sports franchise or a sports organization to gain visibility, principally in our headquarter market, the DMV, District of Columbia, Maryland, Virginia. And it was the best marketing that we ever did. Folks knew us. And obviously, from a federal perspective, there's a lot of federal constituents around there, folks that work for the government, folks that support the government, et cetera. So we were on the map. But never did I have the opportunity to say, hey, how can we further assist in your mission and your growth and what you're trying to achieve? Since we kicked off this relationship just 3 months ago, we probably had 100 sports and entertainment organizations reach out to us, just like that, right? I've told my team that in large part, this was a one of one. Like if there's 1,000 of these, we probably would never cracked the code except for this one. And that was because relationship ignited it. Then the rest of the folks took over from there. These 100 or so organizations, we'll probably never do anything with them. But some folks that we do business with are now leaning forward and wanting to know how can we assist and help them as well. And that's a significant positive that's come out of this in just a very short time frame.
Do you guys have time for a couple more?
We're on your clock.
Okay, perfect. I didn't know. Usually these things run about 10 minutes.
He's got kids to get to.
Oh,
but
all right. I'll keep it short and sweet.
My wife's all good. Looking for me at some point, but that's it.
So Russell, I see that Iron Bow is going to be the title sponsor for a Black History Month game.
Yep.
Title sponsors for specific games is a relatively new concept in the world of professional sports. Is that a conversation that happens at the same time the jersey conversation happens, or is that a conversation that happens because you know Renee, because you know his values, et cetera? Like where does that branch of this relationship start?
Yeah. So this was in our conversations early on. Obviously, both being from Los Angeles, we have similar paths to get to where we've gotten to so far. We had a really honest conversation about what was important, and when Renee early on, he touched on one word that's very important to AEG as well, which is culture. And he has built an amazing culture internally with Iron Bow Technologies. AEG, we have a great culture with our organization as a whole, and then individually with the teams, the Kings. They have a great culture, and they have an amazing fan base. So we sat down and we talked about what was important, and in one of the conversations, Renee talked about the importance of DE&I. He talked about the importance of amplifying a Black History Month activation. At the time, we had that, again, to your point, Jesse, you're talking about the Heritage Months became a title sponsor opportunity. And in a very, very organic conversation, I brought that up to Renee and said, hey, we have a Black History Month title night available. In all of our conversations and the synergies that we have and the culture of our two organizations, that has to be, it almost wasn't even an ask, it was more of a tell. I said, that has to be part of what we do together. And it's something that we absolutely gravitated toward independently of one another, and then together we were able to quickly get to a yes on that. And then there's some great synergies internally with the Kings that we're able to amplify, and it's turned into it's turned into a great story that we're going to tell come February.
Yeah, It was a slam dunk, Jesse. And the thing about it is, and Russ and I, you can connect as individuals and share your values and your morals. And we saw that we had great synergy. Then we opened it up and we saw our teams had great synergy, right, and the cultures were very similar. And DE&I and belonging is something that we've been living for a long time. I know it's something that is resident in all organizations today, or should be, but that's how we've lived over our existence. And we have an independent steering committee. Like, it's not a Renee thing; it's a holistic thing. And the committee, they do our calendaring, they schedule events, very focused on gender equality as well. And I presented something to Russ, and Russ was like just amazed with it, right? So this gives you the next layer. If you double clicked on this gives you the next layer. So there's no sacrifice in talent in our organization. We're probably the most diverse company of our size in the world, in the marketplace, other than some company that would be smaller and be a preference-based company. And I'll just give you an example. So the AEG team from Iron Bow, obviously I'm African-American, CEO, founder, etc. However, our CMO, Korean-American, our client executive, African-American gentleman, 30 years of experience in the marketplace, 26 with Dell Computer Systems, which is a partner of ours, and I hired him away from there. Our chief strategy officer, another Korean American, served the country for 21 years, worked for Cisco Systems, been working for us for 3 years. And the final part of the team is a white female who brings gender equality to the team. That's representative of our company. And so when the opportunity came up, whether it was Black History Month or Asian American Pacific Islander Month or Hispanic Heritage Month, we would have jumped on it, because we feel like that is part of what we're here to do. And just like Russ and I came together through our community support and service, that's what we have our companies doing. And so we were just appreciative to have the opportunity to do that. And it is the talk of the town back at the office, by the way, that we're going to be doing that as the title sponsor. So just to, give you the Iron Bow perspective on this.
Josh Schaefer is newly hired by the LA Kings. He comes from the Ontario Reign. He's going to be involved in the broadcasts. And he's a Southern California native. And so he and I were just chit-chatting the other day. And I try to explain to people who aren't from LA that LA doesn't really exist the way that you might think of, like, say, Boston or New York or DC or whatever. Like, we started running down, we were sort of having like a little game of like Pasadena, Glendale, Burbank, Santa Monica, El Segundo, Torrance, Carson, like just trying to come up with names of cities that are their own cities. But if you travel outside of Southern California and somebody says, where are you from? You're not going to say I'm from Torrance. You're just going to say I'm from LA. Like, right. What does it matter? So you mentioned that you were out of Southern California for 35 years, did you say?
Yes.
How much did it change while you were gone?
Well, it changed a lot. And it wasn't that I wasn't back visiting, because I have family there and doing business there, but I wasn't living there day to day, right? And so I born in the 60s, grew up in through the riots and through what transpired in the 70s, then the gang proliferation. It was tough. I mean, I grew up not too far, just 9-10 miles south of downtown, 110th Street and Broadway. And so, those days, I had to navigate where I went, how I went. I was a bus rider, RTD. And that's how I got to Loyola High School. And we lived kind of in a bubble, and my family's Catholic, and And that's how we navigated life, right? Through the little bubble. And Loyola High School effectively put me on my pathway to the rest of my life. I didn't know it then, but it was clear after I matriculated through and then went on to university and then became a professional. When I look back, it was that experience, right? So when I go back now, I feel like, and there was a lot of materialism in the era I was growing up in. You know, there was the haves and the have-nots very clearly, and there was just a lot of materialism. Now I feel like it's a much safer place, to be honest with you, and that people are more grounded. Like I felt like when I left in '89 that I needed to leave because I needed something different. I needed something fresh. I needed a different platform, and that was true. I have a son now living there. He kind of followed my steps and went to the same university, and he'll be living there for the foreseeable future, starting his family. But I definitely see a difference. I see a difference in, his generation and how they think, and my generation and how folks were thinking then. And then, as I mentioned, I can't overstate this, but just the safety of the community. And there has been a lot of evolution. Like what existed in the 60s and the 70s, where I grew up, doesn't exist anymore. It has evolved to, different ethnicities and different ways of life than when I was a kid. So, and I think the change has been for the better overall. I really do. I see the climate consciousness. I can't tell you that when I was in high school and played football, and we were working out in August and the heat of the summer and the smog levels, I felt in my chest. I felt in my chest, and there's just a noticeable difference when I go back now that doesn't exist anymore. And so, things like that. I mean, I could probably go on and on, but clearly it's evolved. The one thing that stays in my mind, that probably has been a constant is the 80s was the era and the decade of Showtime. And I can tell you everything about that decade. I can't tell you too much about the last decade. So that tells you something about age, but
last one, and we'll let you guys go. Russell, I thought I heard in the conversation that you've been with AEG for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
So as a Kings fan, my recollection is that when Anschutz bought the team in 96, I want to say maybe 95.
Yep.
That prior to that, Anschutz's business profile didn't have a lot to do with live entertainment. It was primarily real estate and other interests. But since then, right, in the 30 years since then, obviously AEG has grown leaps and bounds. So in your time with the company, how have you seen the company change?
Oh, it's skyrocketed. I mean, when I first started, we had Crypto.com Arena. We had Staples Center, now Crypto.com Arena, and the Kings. And we were building what is now Dignity Health Sports Park, where the Galaxy play. That was a dirt pile in Carson, California. We were really kind of just at that point launching our operations internationally in Europe. But we were small and mighty at the time, but there was the aspiration to grow, and there was an amazing trajectory over a decade plus period of time where we not only grew domestically, but we grew through Europe, Asia, Australia, and we've grown to all over the world now, and it's been an amazing ride to see how much we have acquired in terms of venues and teams and festivals and our ticketing platform, and it really comes back to the fan experience. Mr. Anschutz and our board, they want to create unique experiences that are, our tagline, and Renee brought up ours is giving the world reason to cheer. And we are global in nature, and we want to give every fan a reason to cheer and let them have their own journey and have their own story and have their own experience when they come into any one of our buildings, experience any one of our teams, or see any one of our tours or festivals or music acts. We have such a diverse portfolio that we get to offer to tens of millions of fans annually. So to answer that question, it has been a rocket ship, and it's been an amazing journey to see what the company has done over the last 2+ decades. And we're not slowing down. We have some really cool projects in the pipeline right now that will start coming online in early 25. And again, more excitement to come.
Well, I appreciate both of you joining me today. Congratulations on the partnership. And obviously, I wish AEG all the best luck in the world, because I'm part of that family. And we obviously extend that to Iron Bow as well. Russell, Renee, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.